The mining drill stopped working at exactly 3 in the afternoon. Tai-Jin wiped the sweat from his face and looked at the broken machine. He had been working on mining station Kepler 442b for 2 years now. The planet was hot and dusty. The sky was always orange because of the dust storms. Tai-Jin was the construction foreman. His job was to make sure all the mining equipment worked properly. When something broke, he had to fix it. When tunnels collapsed, he had to check if they were safe. Today, the main drill had broken down deep in Tunnel 7. He picked up his flashlight and hard hat. The tunnel was dark and narrow. Water dripped from the ceiling. His boots made echoing sounds as he walked deeper into the ground. The air smelled like metal and dirt. After walking for 10 minutes, he reached the broken drill. It was stuck between 2 large rocks. The tunnel had partially collapsed during the night shift. Rocks and dirt blocked the path ahead. Tai-Jin took out his scanner and checked the area for gas leaks or unstable ground. Something moved in the shadows behind the fallen rocks. Tai-Jin stopped and listened carefully. The sound came again. It was like a small, whimpering cry. He pointed his flashlight toward the sound. Between the rocks, he saw something small and dark moving. He climbed over the fallen rocks carefully. His flashlight beam fell on a tiny creature, huddled in the corner. It was about the size of a house cat, but looked nothing like any animal he had ever seen. The creature had black scales that seemed to shine in the light. Its eyes were bright purple and looked very intelligent. The creature was injured. One of its small legs was bleeding. Its breathing was fast and shallow. Tai-Jin could see that it was very young and very scared. He knew immediately what it was. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Velkhari. They were the most feared creatures in space. The Galactic Council had hunted them for decades after the Velkhari Wars. Most people believed they were all dead now. Yet here was a baby Velkhari hiding in a mining tunnel. Tai-Jin should have called security right away. He should have reported the creature to his supervisor, Boram. The rules were clear about alien life forms. Everything had to be reported immediately, to the company and the Galactic Council. But the creature looked so small and helpless. Its purple eyes stared at him with what looked like hope. It made another soft crying sound. Tai-Jin made a decision that would change his life forever. He slowly reached out his hand toward the creature. It tried to move away, but was too weak. Tai-Jin spoke in a gentle voice even though he knew it could not understand human words. "Hey there, little one. I am not going to hurt you." The creature stopped trying to move away. It watched Tai-Jin with those intelligent purple eyes. Very carefully, Tai-Jin picked up the small Velkhari. It weighed almost nothing. Its scales felt warm and smooth under his fingers. The creature did not try to bite or scratch him. Instead, it seemed to relax in his arms. This surprised Tai-Jin. Everyone said Velkhari were violent monsters that killed without mercy. This baby seemed more like a lost puppy. Tai-Jin looked around the tunnel. How had the creature gotten here? There were no Velkhari ships in this system. The nearest Velkhari sighting had been 3 star systems away over a year ago. This baby must have been abandoned or lost for a long time. He made another decision. Instead of calling security, he took off his work jacket and wrapped the creature in it. The small Velkhari seemed to like the warmth. It made a soft purring sound and closed its eyes. Tai-Jin walked back through the tunnel carrying his secret. His heart was beating fast. If anyone found out what he was doing, he would lose his job immediately. The company would send him to prison. The Galactic Council might even execute him for harboring a Velkhari. But he could not leave the baby to die alone in the dark tunnel. When he reached the main level of the mining station, he had to be very careful. Other workers were everywhere. His supervisor, Boram, was checking equipment near the elevator. The station's doctor, Hei-Wan, was walking down the hallway with her medical scanner. Tai-Jin kept the wrapped creature close to his chest. To anyone watching, it looked like he was just carrying his work jacket. He walked normally and nodded to the other workers. No one suspected anything. His quarters were in the residential section of the station. The room was small but private. He had a bed, a desk, and a small food preparation area. Most importantly, he had a door that locked from the inside. Once safely in his room, Tae-jin set the creature on his bed. It opened its purple eyes and looked around curiously. The injured leg was still bleeding, but not badly. Tae-jin got his first aid kit and very gently cleaned the wound. The creature stayed still and let him work. After treating the injury, Tae-jin realized the baby was probably hungry. What did Velkari eat? He had some dried meat from his emergency food supply. He offered a small piece to the creature. It sniffed the meat carefully and then ate it quickly. While the creature ate, Tae-jin thought about what to do next. He could not keep this secret forever, but he also could not give up the baby to be killed. There had to be another way, he decided. To call the creature Nuri, which meant world in Korean. Somehow this small alien had become his whole world in just a few hours. Nuri finished eating and curled up on Tae-jin's pillow. The baby fell asleep quickly. Tae-jin watched the small creature breathing peacefully. The purple eyes were closed. Now, but Tae-jin could still remember how intelligent they looked. Tomorrow he would have to figure out how to hide Nuri from the other workers. He would need food, medical care, and a better hiding place. Most of all, he would need to keep this secret from Director Woo Sung, who was arriving next week for the quarterly inspection. But tonight, Tae-jin just watched his new friend sleep and wondered how one small creature could change everything. 2 years had passed since Tae-jin found Nuri in the mining tunnel. The small Velkari cub had grown into something amazing. Nuri was now the size of a large dog, with sleek black scales that shimmered like metal in the light. The purple eyes had grown brighter and more intelligent with each passing day. Keeping Nuri's secret had been the hardest thing Tae-jin had ever done. In the beginning, he fed the creature scraps from his own meals. He made a small bed from old blankets in his storage closet. When Nuri got bigger, Tae-jin had to find a better solution. Dr. Hai-wan was the first person to discover the secret. She came to check on Tae-jin when he missed work due to what he claimed was food poisoning. Instead, she found him treating a cut on Nuri's paw. Tae-jin expected her to scream or call security immediately. Instead, Hai-wan stared at Nuri with wonder in her eyes. "This is incredible," she whispered. "Do you know what you have here?" Nuri looked back at the doctor with those intelligent purple eyes. The creature tilted its head as if trying to understand her words. Then something extraordinary happened. Nuri walked slowly to Hai-wan and gently touched her hand with its nose. "It is trying to communicate," Hai-wan said with amazement. From that day forward, Hai-wan became part of the secret. She brought medical supplies to treat Nuri when needed. She also brought books about animal behavior and alien biology. Together, she and Tae-jin studied Nuri's growth and development. They discovered that Nuri was incredibly smart. The creature learned to understand basic human gestures within weeks. When Tae-jin pointed to something, Nuri would look in that direction. When Tae-jin held up his hand to mean stop, Nuri would freeze immediately. More amazing was how Nuri seemed to understand emotions. When Tae-jin felt sad or worried, Nuri would come and rest its head on his lap. When he was happy, Nuri would make a soft purring sound that almost sounded like laughter. Security Chief Yi-jun became the second person to learn about Nuri, but not by choice. It happened during a pirate attack on the mining station. 3 ships, full of raiders, came out of nowhere during the night shift. They disabled the station's communications and started boarding through the cargo bay. The security alarms were screaming throughout the station. Tae-jin was in his quarters with Nuri when the attack began. He told Nuri to stay hidden and went to help defend the station. But Nuri had other ideas. Yi-jun was fighting 3 pirates in the main corridor when something black and fast moved past him like a shadow. One pirate screamed and fell to the ground. The second pirate fired his weapon at the moving shadow, but missed completely. Then he too fell down and stopped moving. The third pirate tried to run, but something grabbed him from behind. Yi-jun heard a terrible sound, and then silence. When the emergency lights came on, Yi-jun saw Nuri standing over the three unconscious pirates. The creature had not killed them, but they would not be getting up anytime soon. Nuri looked at Yi-jun with those purple eyes and made a soft questioning sound. "What are you?" Yi-jun asked in shock. Nuri walked over to him and gently touched his hand with its nose, just like it had done with Haiwan. Yi-jun understood immediately that this creature was not an enemy. After the pirates were captured and taken away, Yi-jun found Tai-jin. "We need to talk," Yi-jun said. Tai-jin expected to be arrested. Instead, Yi-jun asked, "How long have you been hiding our guardian angel?" Engineer So-min joined their secret group by accident. She was working late in the lower levels of the station when she heard strange sounds coming from the abandoned storage areas. When she investigated, she found Nuri playing with some old equipment parts like they were toys. So-min was not afraid. She had always loved animals, even strange alien ones. She sat down on the floor and let Nuri approach her slowly. Within minutes, the creature was letting her scratch behind its ears. "You need a better place than this," So-min told Tai-jin later. "Let me build something proper." So-min used her engineering skills to create a hidden habitat in the unused lower levels. She installed climate control, comfortable bedding, and even some toys for Nuri to play with. The entrance was hidden behind a fake wall panel that only the secret group knew about. Communications officer Dong-ho became involved when he started noticing unusual patterns in the galactic news feeds. More and more reports mentioned Velkari, sightings across different systems. The Galactic Council was increasing patrols and offering larger rewards for information about surviving Velkari. "They are looking for something," Dong-ho told the group during one of their secret meetings. "Or someone." The group had grown to 5 people who all shared the same secret. They took turns caring for Nuri, bringing food, and making sure the creature got enough exercise and attention. Nuri had developed a special relationship with each of them. With Tai-jin, Nuri was playful and affectionate like a pet dog. With Haiwan, the creature was patient and curious, letting her run medical scans and tests. With Yi-jun, Nuri was protective and alert, always watching for danger. With So-min, Nuri was gentle and helpful, sometimes even assisting with simple repair work. With Dong-ho, Nuri was quiet and thoughtful, as if they were both listening to distant sounds. But the most amazing development was how Nuri affected the entire mining station without anyone else knowing. Accidents became less frequent. Workers seemed to cooperate better. Equipment broke down less often. It was as if Nuri's presence brought a sense of calm and unity to everyone. Tai-jin often watched Nuri sleep in the hidden habitat that So-min had built. The creature looked peaceful and content. Sometimes Tai-jin wondered what would happen if their secret was discovered. Would they all go to prison? Would Nuri be taken away and killed? But then Nuri would wake up and look at him with those intelligent purple eyes, and Tai-jin knew that some risks were worth taking. This creature was not the monster that everyone feared. Nuri was family. The bond between human and Velkari had grown stronger than either species thought possible. 5 years had passed since Tai-jin found the small creature in the mining tunnel. Nuri was no longer small. The Velkari now stood 8 feet tall with powerful muscles under those shimmering black scales, sharp claws that could cut through metal, extended from strong hands. But the purple eyes remained gentle and intelligent. The mining station had become more efficient than ever before. Workers rarely got injured anymore. Equipment lasted longer before breaking down. Production numbers were the highest in the company's records. Director Woo Sung was very pleased, though he did not know the real reason for the improvement. Nuri had become the station's secret guardian. The creature moved through the hidden passages that So-Min had built throughout the lower levels. During night shifts, Nuri would patrol the station silently. When problems arose, somehow they got fixed before anyone noticed. Tae-jin and his team had developed an even deeper bond with Nuri over the years. They had learned that the Velkari could understand far more human language than anyone expected. Nuri responded to complex instructions and even seemed to have a sense of humor. But their peaceful life was about to end. Inspector Kyung-sik arrived on a Thursday morning without any warning. He came with a full military escort and advanced scanning equipment. His ship docked at the main port, and within an hour, security troops were positioned throughout the station. "This is a routine biological inspection," Kyung-sik announced to the gathered workers. "We have received reports of unusual biological signatures in this system. Everyone will submit to scanning and questioning." Tae-jin felt his heart stop. He looked at Hai-wan, who had gone pale. Yi-jun kept his face calm, but his hand moved toward his weapon. So-min and Dong-ho exchanged worried glances. The inspection began immediately. Kyung-sik's team used advanced sensors to scan every room, every corridor, every storage area. They were looking for traces of alien DNA, unusual pheromones, or any sign of non-human life. "We have very sensitive equipment," Kyung-sik told Director Woo-sung. "If there are any alien creatures on this station, we will find them." The secret group had to act fast. Dong-ho used his communication skills to delay some of the scanning equipment with false system errors. So-min activated hidden ventilation systems to blow away any traces of Nuri's scent. Hae-won created fake medical reports to explain any unusual readings, but they all knew they were only buying time. Eventually, the scanners would find evidence of Nuri's presence. The crisis came 3 days later during the morning shift. A massive piece of mining equipment malfunctioned in Tunnel 12. The main support beam cracked, and tons of rock began falling toward 30 workers who were trapped below. The evacuation alarm sounded throughout the station. Emergency teams rushed toward the tunnel, but everyone knew they would not arrive in time. The workers below were screaming for help as more rocks fell around them. Tae-jin was in the command center watching the disaster unfold on the monitors. He saw his friends and co-workers about to die. Without thinking, he activated the emergency communication system that connected to Nuri's hidden habitat. "Nuri! Tunnel 12! People trapped! Help them!" What happened next would be talked about for years afterward. Nuri moved through the hidden passages faster than any human could run. The creature reached Tunnel 12 in less than 2 minutes. Without hesitation, Nuri leaped down into the collapsing mine shaft. The trapped workers saw 8 feet of black scales and glowing purple eyes dropping toward them like something from their worst nightmares. Several of them screamed in terror, but then they realized the creature was not attacking them. Nuri caught a falling support beam that weighed several tons and held it steady while the workers scrambled to safety. When more rocks fell, Nuri used its own body as a shield to protect the humans. The creature's claws cut through twisted metal like scissors, clearing escape routes for the panicked miners. One by one, Nuri lifted the workers up to safety. Some of them were injured and could not climb out on their own. Nuri carried them gently, in arms that could crush steel but held the humans like fragile flowers. The entire rescue took less than 10 minutes. All 30 workers survived with only minor injuries. But now everyone on the station knew about Nuri. Inspector Kyung-sik arrived at Tunnel 12 just as Nuri was lifting the last worker to safety. The inspector stared in shock at the massive Velkari standing in the wreckage of the collapsed tunnel. "Impossible," Kyung-sik whispered. "They are all supposed to be dead." Nuri looked up at the inspector with those intelligent purple eyes. The creature made no aggressive moves. Instead, Nuri seemed to be studying the human with curiosity. Pilot Jin-A had witnessed the entire rescue from the command center monitors. She was supposed to report any alien contact immediately to the Galactic Council. Her training demanded that she treat any Velkari as a deadly threat to be eliminated, but she had just watched this creature risk its own life to save 30 humans. Bow. Workers who had been rescued were talking excitedly among themselves. They called Nuri their guardian angel. They said the creature had been protecting the station for years without anyone knowing. "That thing saved my life," said Miner Bongsu. "It could have let us all die, but it chose to help us instead." Inspector. Kyung-sik was in a difficult position. His orders were clear about what to do with any surviving Velkari. But this situation was unlike anything in the official reports. This creature had just performed the greatest rescue in the station's history. "I need to contact the Galactic Council immediately," Kyung-sik said. "This changes everything." That night, while the inspector's team prepared their report, Hai-Wan ran more detailed scans on Nuri. What she discovered was even more shocking than they had imagined. "These genetic markers," she told the secret group in whispered tones. "Nuri is not just any Velkari. According to these readings, this creature comes from a royal bloodline, possibly the last of an ancient dynasty." Tae-jin looked at his friend, his family member, his guardian. Nuri was not just the creature he had rescued from a dark tunnel. Nuri was royalty among its people, a prince or princess of a nearly extinct species. "What does this mean?" So-min asked. Dong-ho had been monitoring galactic communications all day. His face was grim when he answered. "It means they are coming. Long-range sensors have detected 3 Velkari ships entering this system. They will arrive within 2 days. The hunt that had begun with a routine inspection was about to become something much larger. And at the center of it all was the bond between a human worker and an alien prince that had grown stronger than fear, stronger than prejudice, and stronger than the forces that wanted to tear them apart. 7 years had passed since that day in the tunnel. The mining station was no longer the same quiet place it had once been. Word of the Velkari rescue had spread despite official attempts to keep it secret. Some workers were afraid. Others were curious. All of them knew their lives had changed forever. Dr. Hai-Wan spent her days studying everything she could find about the Velkari Wars. The official records painted the Velkari as savage monsters that attacked human colonies without reason. But as Hai-Wan dug deeper into classified databases, she found disturbing inconsistencies. "The dates do not match up," she told Tae-jin during one of their secret meetings. "Look at this timeline. Human colonies were established in the Kepler, Sector 6 months before the first Velkari attacks." Tae-jin studied the data on her tablet. "What does that mean?" "It means we built our settlements on their territory first. The Velkari were not attacking us. They were defending their homes." More evidence emerged over the following weeks. Ancient Velkari artifacts showed that the species was highly advanced, with complex social structures and sophisticated technology. They were not the primitive savages described in human history books. "They had cities," Hai-Wan explained to the group. "Beautiful cities with art and science that we are only beginning to understand. And we destroyed them because we thought they were monsters." The discovery made Tae-jin look at Nuri with new eyes. The creature was not just intelligent and gentle. Nuri represented an entire civilization that had been nearly wiped out by fear and misunderstanding. Meanwhile, trader Jun-ho brought disturbing news from his travels to other systems. His cargo ship had stopped at multiple trading posts, and the rumors were consistent everywhere. "A massive Velkari fleet has been spotted near the outer rim," he told them. "Not just 3 ships like before, hundreds of them. The largest gathering of Velkari ships anyone has ever recorded," Dong-ho confirmed the reports through his communication networks. "They are not attacking anyone. They seem to be searching for something, moving from system to system, scanning planets and space stations." Tae-jin felt a chill run down his spine. He looked at Nuri, who was resting peacefully in the hidden habitat that So-min had expanded over the years. The creature's purple eyes, met his. And somehow Tae-jin knew that Nuri understood what the fleet was looking for. They were looking for their lost prince. Director Woo-sung had been growing suspicious for months. The mining station's incredible efficiency ratings had attracted attention from corporate headquarters. Inspectors kept asking how one remote facility could outperform every other operation in the company. When Woo-sung finally discovered the truth, his reaction was not what anyone expected. "Do you have any idea what you have done?" he shouted at Tae-jin in his office. "You have been harboring the most valuable creature in the galaxy." Tae-jin expected to be arrested immediately. Instead, Woo-sung began talking about profit margins and research contracts. Military scientists would pay millions to study a living Valkyrie. Private collectors would pay even more. This creature could make us all rich beyond imagination. "Nuri is not for sale," Tae-jin said firmly. Woo-sung laughed coldly. "You think you have a choice in this matter? I am the director of this station. That creature belongs to the company now." That night, Woo-sung made a secret communication to Galactic Council bounty hunters. The message was intercepted by Dong-ho, but it was already too late. A ship full of professional Valkyrie hunters was already on its way, led by the infamous Captain Yoon-ji. Yoon-ji had made her fortune hunting the survivors of the Valkyrie Wars. She had killed more Valkyrie than any other human alive. Her ship was equipped with the most advanced weapons and capture technology available. "She will be here in 3 days," Dong-ho warned the group. "And she never takes prisoners." But Nuri was changing in ways that none of them expected. The creature had always been intelligent, but now it seemed to be developing new abilities. Nuri began communicating in ways that went beyond gestures and sounds. Tae-jin started having dreams that felt too real to be dreams. In them, he could feel what Nuri was feeling. He could sense the creature's emotions and sometimes even its thoughts. The bond between them was becoming something that neither human nor Valkyrie science could explain. Nuri also began showing signs of enhanced sensory perception. The creature could detect approaching ships hours before they appeared on radar. It could sense the emotional states of people throughout the station. Most remarkably, Nuri seemed to know about the betrayal before it happened. "Something is wrong," Haiwan observed during one of her examinations. "Nuri's brain activity has increased dramatically. It is as if the creature is preparing for something." That something became clear when corporate security forces arrived, earlier than expected. Commander Jae-sung brought 20 armed guards to take Nuri into custody. They surrounded the hidden habitat with military precision. "By order of Director Woo-sung, you will surrender the alien creature immediately," Jae-sung announced through speakers. The workers of the mining station faced an impossible choice. Many of them owed their lives to Nuri's protection over the years. But they also had families and careers to think about. Going against corporate security meant losing everything. Some workers sided with the security forces. They believed that following orders was more important than protecting one alien creature, no matter how helpful it had been. Others stood with Tae-jin and his friends. Miner Bong-soo, who had been saved during the tunnel collapse, brought a dozen of his fellow workers to form a protective barrier around the habitat entrance. "That creature saved my life," Bong-soo declared. "I will not let anyone take it away." Engineer Ho Jung brought her technical crew to disable the security equipment. "Nuri has been part of this station longer than most of us. This is its home." 2. The standoff continued for hours. Security forces on one side, loyal workers on the other, and in the middle was the hidden entrance to where Nuri waited. Yi-jun faced the hardest choice of all. As security chief, he was supposed to support Commander Jae-sung, but he had seen Nuri risk its life to save humans countless times. "I cannot do this," Yi-jun finally announced. He removed his security badge and threw it on the ground. "Count me with the workers." The situation was about to explode into violence when new alarms sounded throughout the station. Dong-Ho's voice came over the communication system with news that changed everything. 3 massive ships just entered the system. They are not human designs. Velkhari vessels approaching the station. Through the viewports, everyone could see the approaching ships. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time, with flowing, organic curves that seemed alive. The ships moved with grace and purpose toward the mining station. At the same time, Captain Yunji's bounty hunter ship arrived from the opposite direction. Her vessel was angular and aggressive, bristling with weapons designed specifically for killing Velkhari. Commander Jae-sung received new orders through his communication device. His face went pale as he listened to the message. "Galactic Council fleet is approaching," he announced. "Admiral Sang-ho is bringing a full battle group to eliminate all Velkhari presence in this system." Tae-jin looked around at the chaos surrounding him. Corporate security, bounty hunters, Velkhari ships, and a Galactic Council battle fleet were all converging on their small mining station, and at the center of it all was Nuri, the gentle creature he had found as a baby and raised as family. The bond between them had started a chain of events that would determine the future of 2 entire species. The time for hiding was over. Soon, everyone would have to choose what they believed in most: fear or understanding, war or peace, hatred, or the love that could bridge any gap between different worlds. 10 years after Tae-jin found a dying cub in a mining tunnel, the greatest confrontation in galactic history was about to begin. 3 massive Velkhari ships hung in space near the mining station like sleeping giants. Each ship was the size of a city, with organic curves that seemed to breathe and pulse with inner light. The station's communication systems crackled to life. Instead of the expected demands for surrender, a single transmission came through in perfect human language. "We request permission to send 1 representative to your station. We come seeking what was lost to us long ago." Director Woo Sung was in panic. This was far beyond anything he had planned when he called the bounty hunters. "What do they want?" he demanded. Tae-jin knew the answer. He could feel Nuri's excitement and anxiety through their strange bond. The creature was pacing in the hidden habitat, making soft sounds that almost seemed like singing. "They want their prince," Tae-jin said quietly. The Velkhari representative arrived in a small shuttle that moved like liquid mercury through space. When it docked at the station's main port, everyone held their breath. This would be the first peaceful contact between humans and Velkhari in over 30 years. The airlock opened and a figure stepped through that commanded immediate respect. The Velkhari stood nearly 9 feet tall with silver-gray scales that reflected the station's lights. Battle scars covered its arms and face, telling stories of countless fights. But its eyes were golden instead of purple, and they held wisdom that seemed older than the stars. Through translation equipment, the creature identified itself as Elder Kivtar, war commander of the 3rd Velkhari Fleet. Its voice was deep and musical, with undertones that seemed to resonate in the listener's bones. "I have come for Prince Vel-Nurai, last heir of the royal house of Velthara. We have searched for 10 cycles of the Great Wheel. We know the prince lives on this station." Murmurs spread through the crowd of workers who had gathered to witness this historic moment. Their gentle guardian Nuri was not just any Velkhari. Nuri was royalty, a prince whose bloodline went back thousands of years. Elder Kivtar continued speaking. "Return our prince to us, and we will leave peacefully. Refuse, and we will take what belongs to us by force." The threat was clear, but there was something else in the elder's voice: pain, longing. The same emotion that Tae-jin had felt when he first found Nuri alone and abandoned in the dark tunnel. Before anyone could respond, alarms sounded again. Captain Yunji's bounty hunter ship had positioned itself between the station and the Velkhari fleet. Her voice came over the communication system, harsh and aggressive. "This is Captain Yunji of the vessel Void Hunter. I have legal salvage rights to any Velkari found on this station. Surrender the creature to me immediately, or I will take it by force." Elder Kivtar's golden eyes blazed with anger when the translation reached him. "Bounty hunter," he snarled. "We know this one. She has murdered many of our people." The situation became even more complicated when Admiral Sang-Ho arrived with the Galactic Council battle fleet. 12 heavy warships took positions around the system, their weapons trained on the Velkari vessels. "This is Admiral Sang-Ho of the Galactic Council Defense Force. All Velkari ships will surrender immediately or be destroyed. This is your only warning." 3 different forces now surrounded the mining station. The Velkari wanted their prince back. The bounty hunter wanted to capture and sell Nuri. The Galactic Council wanted to eliminate all Velkari presence from the system. And in the middle of it all, Tai-Jin faced the hardest decision of his life. The standoff might have erupted into violence immediately, but something unexpected happened. Nuri finally emerged from hiding. The creature walked calmly through the station corridors, past the corporate security forces, past the frightened workers, past Director Woo Sung and Inspector Kyung Sik. Nuri's purple eyes were calm and determined. When Elder Kivtar saw the young prince, the ancient warrior dropped to one knee in respect. The gesture was copied by every Velkari on the 3 ships, visible through the viewports as they all turned toward the station. "My prince," Elder Kivtar said in a voice filled with emotion. "We thought you were lost forever." But instead of running to his own people, Nuri did something that shocked everyone present. The creature walked to Tai-Jin and gently placed one clawed hand on his shoulder. Through their bond, Tai-Jin felt what Nuri was trying to communicate. Images and emotions flowed between them. Memories of 10 years together, the love and care that had grown between human and Velkari. The family they had built together. "I cannot leave him," Nuri's thoughts seemed to say. "He is my family now." Elder Kivtar rose slowly, confusion and disbelief on his scarred face. "My prince, this human, is nothing to you. You belong with your own people." Nuri turned to face the elder and spoke in the musical Velkari language for the first time that anyone on the station had heard. The words were beautiful but firm. When the translation came through, the meaning was clear. "This human saved my life when I was dying alone. He fed me when I was hungry. He protected me when I was helpless. He gave me love when I had nothing. He is my true family." The elder's golden eyes widened in shock. In Velkari culture, family bonds were sacred above all else. But they had never considered that such bonds could form between different species. Captain Unji was not impressed by the emotional reunion. Her ship's weapons powered up, targeting both the station and the Velkari vessels. "Enough of this nonsense," she announced. "I am taking that creature now. Anyone who interferes will be eliminated." But Nuri had been developing abilities that none of them fully understood. As the bounty hunter's ship approached, the creature began to emit a low humming sound that seemed to vibrate through the station's hull. The effect was immediate and startling. Humans and Velkari alike felt a sense of calm wash over them. The fear and anger that had been building for hours began to fade. For the first time, both species were able to truly see each other without the filter of hatred and prejudice. Elder Kivtar stared at Tai-Jin with new understanding. "You truly care for our prince," he said with amazement. "This bond is real." Admiral Sang-Ho, watching from his flagship, found himself hesitating to give the order to attack. His soldiers were reporting that they felt no hostility from the Velkari ships. Instead, they sensed something that had been absent from Galactic. Politics for decades. Hope. Even the workers on the mining station were affected. Those who had sided with corporate security began to question their choice. Those who had been afraid of Nuri started to see the creature as the gentle guardian it had always been. Captain Yunji was the only one who seemed immune to Nuri's influence. Her years of hunting Velkari had hardened her heart against any sympathy. "For the species, I do not care about your family bonds," she snarled. "That creature is worth more than this entire station. I will have it." Her ship's weapons locked onto the docking bay where Nuri stood with Taejin and Elder Kivtar. That was when Nuri made a decision that would change everything. The young prince stepped forward, standing between the humans and Velkari on one side, and the approaching threat on the other. The purple eyes that had once looked up at Taejin with trust and love now blazed with royal authority. Nuri spoke in both human and Velkari languages simultaneously, the words carrying power that seemed to reach across space itself. "I am Prince Vel-Nurai of the House of Velthara. I claim the right of unity bond with the human Taejin. I call upon both our peoples to witness this joining of families across the stars." Elder Kivtar gasped in shock. The unity bond was an ancient Velkari ceremony, older than their written history. It had never been performed between different species before, but as Nuri placed his hand on Taejin's shoulder and Taejin placed his hand on Nuri's scaled arm, something beautiful happened. The bond that had been growing for 10 years suddenly became visible as a soft light that surrounded both figures. The light spread outward, touching everyone in the station and somehow reaching across space to the ships that surrounded them. For one perfect moment, every human and every Velkari felt what it was like to be part of one greater family. 15 years had passed since Taejin found a dying alien cub in a dark tunnel. Today, he stood in the observation deck of what was once mining station Kepler 442b, watching ships from dozens of species arrive for the anniversary celebration. The station had been transformed beyond recognition. Where once there had been only industrial mining equipment, now beautiful gardens grew in harmony with advanced technology. The living quarters had expanded to accommodate not just humans, but Velkari families who had chosen to make this place their home. Ambassador Taejin wore the formal robes that marked his position as the first human Velkari unity representative. The title still felt strange to him sometimes. He had never planned to become a diplomat. He had just wanted to save a dying creature that reminded him of a lost puppy. Prince Vel-Nurai, as Nuri was now properly known, stood beside him wearing the ceremonial armor of the Velkari Royal Guard. The creature had grown magnificent over the years, standing 10 feet tall with scales that seemed to contain starlight. But the purple eyes remained the same, filled with the same intelligence and gentleness that had first touched Taejin's heart. The unity bond they had formed 5 years ago had created something unprecedented in galactic history. It was not just a friendship between two individuals. It had become a bridge that allowed entire species to understand each other for the first time. Director Somin approached them, her hair now silver with age, but her eyes still bright with the same engineering. Curiosity that had helped hide Nuri so many years ago. She now oversaw the joint technological projects that were revolutionizing both human and Velkari science. "The ceremony is ready to begin," she informed them. "Representatives from 47 different worlds are present. The Galactic Council has officially recognized the Kepler Accords as the new framework for interspecies relations." The Kepler Accords had been born from the crisis 5 years ago. When Captain Yunji had finally attacked the station, something incredible had happened. The unity bond between Taejin and Nuri had spread to everyone present, creating a moment of perfect understanding between species that had been enemies for decades. Even Admiral Sang-ho, who had come to destroy the Velkari fleet, found himself lowering his weapons. The old warrior had later become one of the strongest supporters of the new alliance. "I came here to start a war," he had told the signing ceremony. "Instead, I found a path to peace that I never knew existed." Elder Kivtar now served as the Velkari High Ambassador, working closely with human leaders to establish colonies where both species could live together. The ancient warrior had become an unexpected friend to many humans, including Admiral Sang-ho, who had discovered they shared similar experiences as old soldiers. Dr. Hae-won had achieved fame throughout the galaxy for her research into Velkari, biology, and the unity bond phenomenon. Her work had proven that the connection between Taijin and Nuri was not just emotional, but actually biological. The bond had created new neural pathways in both their brains, allowing them to share thoughts and emotions in ways that science was still trying to understand. "We are witnessing the next step in evolution," Hae-won had written in her famous research paper. "Not evolution of individual species, but evolution of consciousness itself. The ability to form true bonds across biological boundaries." Captain Jin Ai had become the commander of the first mixed-species patrol fleet. Her ships now carried both human and Velkari crew members, working together to protect trade routes and explore new systems. The cooperation between the two species had led to technological advances that neither could have achieved alone. Communications Officer Dong-ho now managed the Unity Network, a galaxy-wide communication system that connected human and Velkari colonies. But more importantly, he had discovered something that gave everyone hope for the future. "There are others," he had announced during a council meeting 6 months ago. "We have found evidence of other human-Velkari pairs throughout the galaxy. Taijin and Nuri are not unique. The bond can form naturally when the conditions are right." The news had sparked a movement that was spreading across known space. Young humans and Velkari were volunteering to participate in Unity Bond experiments. Families were adopting orphaned cubs and abandoned human children from both species. The barriers that had separated the two civilizations for decades were crumbling. Captain Yoon-ji had been the only major opponent who refused to accept the new reality. After her attack on the station had failed, she had fled to the Outer Rim, where she continued to hunt the few remaining anti-Unity extremists. But even her influence was fading as more people experienced the peace that came from true understanding between species. The ceremony that was about to begin would mark the 5th anniversary of the Unity Bond and the establishment of the Kepler Accords. Leaders from across the galaxy had come to witness the signing of new agreements that would extend the principles of cooperation to dozens of other species. As Taijin and Nuri walked to the ceremonial platform, they passed through crowds of humans and Velkari who had come to celebrate. Children of both species played together in the gardens, their laughter mixing in harmonious sounds that no one had imagined possible 15 years ago. Young human engineer Bei-ho was showing a group of Velkari scientists his latest fusion reactor design. The technology combined human innovation with Velkari biotechnology to create clean energy sources that could power entire colonies. Velkari healer Zai Lin was training human medical students in the ancient art of emotional healing, teaching them how to use empathy and connection to treat psychological trauma. Her methods had proven remarkably effective in helping war veterans from both species. But the most remarkable sight was the Unity Garden at the center of the station. Here, dozens of human Velkari bonded pairs lived and worked together. They served as teachers, healers, and ambassadors, spreading the message of cooperation throughout the galaxy. Taijin watched a young girl named Sujin playing with her Velkari bond sibling, a cub called Rick-Star. The two had been orphaned in a pirate attack and had found each other in a refugee camp. Now they were inseparable, communicating in the wordless way that all Unity pairs eventually developed. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Taijin asked Nuri as they reached the platform, where hundreds of beings waited for the ceremony to begin. Nuri's response came not through words, but through the bond they shared. Feelings of love, gratitude, hope, and determination flowed between them. Images of the future they were building together, where fear would be replaced by understanding and war would give way to cooperation. The ceremony began with Elder Kivtar and Admiral Sang-ho jointly reading the Kepler Accords to the assembled crowd. The words were simple but powerful. We, the people of many worlds and many forms, declare that family is not defined by species or biology, but by love and choice. We reject the hatred and fear that have divided us, and we choose instead to build a future based on understanding and unity. As the words echoed across the station and were broadcast to millions of beings throughout the galaxy, something beautiful happened. The unity bond between Tae-jin and Nuri began to glow softly, and that glow spread to every bonded pair present at the ceremony. The light grew brighter and reached out across space itself, touching the minds and hearts of beings on distant worlds. For one perfect moment, every conscious creature in the galaxy felt what it was like to be part of one great family. When the light faded, the ceremony continued with the signing of new agreements that would establish unity colonies on 100 different worlds. But the real change had already taken place in the hearts and minds of those who had witnessed the power of love to bridge any gap. Later that evening, as the celebrations continued throughout the station, Tae-jin and Nuri returned to the observation deck where they had started the day. They looked out at the stars, no longer seeing empty space between different worlds, but seeing the connections that bound all life together. "Thank you," Tae-jin said quietly, though he was not sure if he was speaking to Nuri, to the universe, or to the small dying creature he had found in a tunnel so many years ago. Nuri's response came through their bond, warm and filled with the same love that had started their incredible journey. "Thank you for seeing family where others saw only a monster." The two friends stood together in comfortable silence, watching ships arrive and depart from the station that had become the heart of a new galactic civilization. They had proven that sometimes the smallest act of compassion could change the course of history. The bond between a human worker and a forsaken alien cub had endured through fear, war, and hatred. It had grown into something that gave hope to an entire galaxy. And it would continue to endure for as long as beings chose love over fear, understanding over prejudice, and family over the barriers that seemed to divide them. The future was bright, with possibilities that neither species could have imagined alone. Together, they would explore new worlds, meet new civilizations, and prove again and again that the most powerful force in the universe was not weapons or technology, but the simple courage to care for someone who was different from yourself. In all, the end, that was the true meaning of the Kepler Accords. That every being deserved the chance to find family among the stars, no matter what form that family might take.